All right. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. We are back. This is the Bear Show. I'm joined by the icon, the legend, Mr. Kevin Odo from Greenhaven Capital. Man, what's happening, brother?
Oh man, I'm good, man. Thank you for such a kind intro, man.
Man, come on, man. It's an honor to be here with you, be back in the studios with you, brother.
Yes, sir, man. It's a long time coming, man. Glad to be back. Happy to be here with you, man. Hopefully we could, shed some light on what's going on and answer some questions.
Yeah, absolutely. So for those of you who are for those of you who are new to us, my name is Hubert Caston. This is Kevin Odo. Kevin Odo has helped me on multiple deals. He is the legend behind all mortgages. He's just a great and phenomenal human being to work with. Whenever you're working in this real estate industry, you want somebody who has your back 24/7, somebody who is honest, transparent, and at the end of the day, just gets the job done. And Kevin and his team at Greenhaven Capital do just that. Um, I am Gilbert Caston. I'm just a real estate advisor who just likes to sell houses, and that's just what I do. So,
Great real estate advisor who adds value to all of his clients and helps them make better decisions when it comes to real estate. You're awesome at what you do as well.
hey man, thank you so much. So to kick it off, usually when we do this show, we title it the Home Buyers Workshop because we really focus on the different streams of home buyers, whether you're buying a home conventionally, whether you're buying a home with a VA loan or a VHA. But to start things out, I think it'd be a good idea today, Kev, to start things out talking about what's going on and what's to come in real estate and what exactly that may look like coming up in the near future.
Oh God. Yeah. So I'm sure you're talking about the NAR lawsuit, right? That's the big thing that's been in the headlines. Changing commissions. How is this going to impact consumers, and how is this going to impact just our industry in a whole? There's been a lot of fuss and uproar about it, but I think once the dust settles and everything's done, this is ultimately going to be a win for everyone, right?
Yep.
And a lot of agents are saying, well, buyers going to have to pay for their commission. They don't have money for that. I don't think they realize that the commission is probably still going to be paid by the seller the majority of the times, but it's just going to be negotiable now. It's just not going to be set. That 2.5% is not going to be set. So it's really, to me, I feel like agents who are good are going to be able to add value to their clients, and the agents that really aren't that good, they might fall off. So I think that it gives a tremendous opportunity for increased transparency. I think the great agents are really going to step up their game, and I think they're still going to be very successful. And I think overall consumers are going to be better served.
Yeah, no, I completely concur with you. I think you're 100% on that. And for those of you who don't know, the NAR stands for the National Association of Realtors. The National Association of Realtors consider it a union, but it's not really a union. It's kind of like the entity that we just so happen to join when we join big brokerages to be a part of the Realtor brand, because Realtor brand is copyrighted through being a part and affiliated with the National Association of Realtors. As a realtor, we join this association at our county level. That county level includes our membership at the state level, and then it goes all the way up to the National Association of Realtors. What happened was the National Association of Realtors got sued by a group for unlawful commissions, and the narrative behind this lawsuit was something that was really kind of funny to me, right? To sum it up, the National Association of Realtors got sued for unlawful commissions, and basically what's going to change, like Kevin just said, is the fact that now the big thing is that buyers are going to be responsible and held responsible for the compensation of their buyer representation. That's the biggest part of it. On the real estate standpoint, the National Association of Realtors is also in charge and runs our local MLSs, which is the tool that a lot of us realtors use to input. So the National Association of Realtors was under attack, which means the MLS is under attack. So Another change is that realtors, listing agents, will no longer be allowed. The MLS will no longer have an area or a space on the MLS platform that offers a buyer's representation compensation. Um, Another change with this would be that all buyers moving forward will have to sign a buyer's representation agreement with whatever buyer's agent that they decide to work with. So right now we live in a day where, you know, because of the Zillows and stuff like that, it's not like back in the old days. Back in the old days, realtors actually had to go out there and provide the properties because the newspaper was the only thing that people had to rely on finding those properties that were technically um, that were highlighted. There was more of value to the consumer because the realtor had access to all the other properties that weren't part of the newspaper. With the Zillows and stuff coming out, it has put the consumer more forward. And now it's going to change. So, Kev, a question for you as far as like the mortgage side goes and the financing side. Do you see that there's going to be any way in the near future where I don't want to say a concession, but do you see where there would be any kind of room where the buyer's agent commission could be compensated through a concession?
Yes, for sure. And FHA has already came out and said that if you put an offer in, say, hey, here's my offer for 500,000. I also want you to pay my commission of 2% of 10,000, right? If the seller agrees to pay that, they're not going to consider that like a concession or a closing cost. They're going to do it the same way it is right now. So in that aspect, if a seller is going to be paying your commission still, which is still totally allowable, it's just negotiable, it's not going to change much the way we do business right now.
Gotcha. Gotcha. And so basically, this whole situation come July, and I'm telling everybody who's looking to buy property, you know, I don't believe we're going to be under attack as soon as everybody thinks. I do think that there's going to be a lot of those sellers who do see the benefit of actually offering that buyer compensation in order to get a real qualified buyer. So, to those of you who don't know, being somebody who represents a lot more sellers than I do buyers, when going into a listing agreement with a seller, it's always put up front that commissions are negotiable. Nothing has ever been pushed on a client that they didn't understand that they weren't allowed to set their own commission. So, to realtors who go in there, yes, you could consider it that it could be technically a standard that we go into it saying 5%, but the good listing agents and people who put their clients first definitely give them the upfront awareness that commissions are negotiable. Now, with that being said, we also highlight the value of compensating the buyer's agent because a good buyer representation goes a long way when it comes to qualifying a buyer and getting the deal to the finish line. For that 0.5 or whatever that you might have to go through, or that 1%, you'd be surprised on how less of a headache you get when you get a really good agent on the other end of that deal who gets their buyer to the finish line. What do you think about that?
Yeah, real estate is a relationship-based business, first of all. So it kind of matters on who you know, how you know them, that you have connections. But when you're a buyer, you need representation. You need someone that's going out there looking out for your best interests. I put it like this. If you're going in a lawsuit, God forbid you are, would you want the prosecutor or the listing agent to represent you? Or would you rather pay someone $500 called a public defender to represent you? Or we want Johnny Cochran to represent you, right? You want someone that knows their stuff, that could properly represent you, keep you from buying the wrong house, right? Because anyone could sell your house, but they want to keep you from buying the wrong house. And they want to make sure that they're negotiating fair terms for you and have connections when it comes to lenders or when it comes to contractors or when it comes to inspections. just to make sure that you are being properly represented. So there is so much value to having representation. And Jubera, I can't stress this enough. A buyer has already been paying their agent. It's just been tucked in the sales price of the house.
Yeah.
They've already been paying them 2.5%. Ultimately, that amount is probably going to go down a little bit in some instances, but it's just more negotiable. It gives more leverage to buyers. Maybe they have money to pay. Maybe they don't. Maybe it's built into the offer. But now you can really negotiate the price of the home and the commission. It's going to help consumers at the end of the day, is what I do believe.
Yeah, yeah, I definitely do agree. You know, the language that was put in the documentation regarding the settlement was that um, realtors, agents, and brokerages can no longer use terms like buyer services or representations are no longer free, um, and that it just can't happen. Before when you go show a house in the norm and the I guess you could say quote unquote normal days, we go out there and it definitely has been known that, hey, buyers, you're not paying me, right? Like, we get paid from the seller. But the funny thing about that, to your point, what you just said, is that realistically the buyers have been paying the commissions the whole time. Now, you can see it from both sides, right? The proceeds go to the seller agrees to give 5% of the proceed, 2.5 to their side, 2.5 to the buyer side. But without that buyer, the listing agent doesn't even get paid. So it's fair to say that the buyer is very, very important to the seller, as much as the seller providing the house is very important to the buyer. And so moving forward to listing agents and to all sellers and homeowners out there, it's going to be imperative that you really look at both sides of the spectrum, and you look at quality over quantity. Because if you get more buyers out there going to your home that's not represented, it's going to leave rooms and room openings and gaps to um, problems, I guess you could say, problems and situations where things fall beneath the crack. So it definitely is important to have both sides well represented. And if you're a homeowner or a seller out there, it's definitely something to think about before you think about, well, I could save a penny here and there. Definitely think about that. And if that works for you, that works for you. But at the end of the day, the main goal is to get your house sold, and to get your house sold to the best potential buyer.
And here's the thing, to add to your point too, Joe. Even before this commission lawsuit, there have been listing agents and buying agents that have offered discount commissions anyways. I'll list your house for 1%, or you buy with me, I'll give you this much of my commission. So there's always been this out there. And the companies that have really advertised and marketing these low commissions, for some reason, they don't tend to last, because they're not really adding the value that's needed for proper representation.
Yeah.
And now it's negotiable. I think agents are really going to be able to show their true value.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, absolutely. And that's key. Before, and that's why, unfortunately, we had a bunch of excuse my language, but we had a bunch of shitty agents out there, because
For sure.
it was very easy. I mean, I see it a lot where, my properties that I have at open houses, clients are going to open houses by themselves because their buyer's agent told them, hey, just go to the open house. The days of going and being of value and being of service to your client throughout the whole process have somewhat became lethargic.
Yeah.
And some people have taken for granted the privilege to be in this business and to absolutely be of absolute value to the client.
Correct.
Now it's going to weed those out. Those excuse my language, shitty agents are going to get weeded out, because the good agents are going to be the ones who their clients know how much value and how important their services are and will bring to the table. And once again, everything is going to be negotiable. So you're going to have good representation in order to be able to be in the position to negotiate well and effectively, most importantly.
For sure. Yeah, and I even think you're going to see, it's even possible you see agents have different rates depending on their terms of service. Hey, you own 50 properties, you only need me to open this one door. Maybe you do it for less. You're a first-time home buyer, you need a lot of hand-holding. You need, A, B, C, D, X, Y, G, Z, everything done for you. Maybe it's a little bit more. But at the end of the day, an agent is going to really be able to show their value proposition, explain exactly what they're doing, and overall, it's going to be a more transparent transaction, I think, overall.
Yeah, absolutely. I definitely agree. And especially, in a day and age where the consumer actually comes to us a lot of the time too, right? So, you get that phone call, they're on the Zillows and they're on the Redfins already.
Yeah,
It's the days of the agent finding the house. It's still there. Really good agents are definitely showing their services by providing off-market listings,
for sure.
and everything like that to be of value to their clients. But a lot of these agents out here are relying on the client and the consumer to go out there and find that house and actually give them. And those agents are going to be the one that suffer because they're not going to be the ones that are going able to provide the level of service that these other ones are going to provide and get compensated for.
For sure.
One really silly thing about a piece of the narrative in this whole piece was that because of the unlawful commissions, they believe the unlawful commissions is why home prices were so inflated. And, to me, I'm just like, that is so absolutely wrong.
Yeah.
Right. It's
I
like
agree.
nobody does the math. Like
Yeah.
nobody looks at a house and goes, oh, well, that house is 500,000, but it would be 475,000 if there was no commissions, or the realtor doesn't go in and do the commission math when pricing a home. We do it on market value compared to
Correct.
comparables in the neighborhood. It's so funny how that narrative was. What do you think about that?
Yeah. I mean, the market's going to determine itself. Like if you had a commission right now with, obviously when you had a listing MLS right now, they don't know how much you're making as a listing agent. You could be making 3% or 1%. And once you list that house, the market determines itself. You're going to get multiple offers right now, and people are offering based on what they're willing to pay, not necessarily what Joe Bear's commission is. So
Right.
I think ultimately, yeah, people look at this commission lawsuit. Sellers probably going to win a little bit up front. I think the total commission is going to be less, but I don't think it's going to drop home prices. I think buyers are still going to pay what they want to pay. If there's multiple offers, they're going to compete against itself, and the seller's going to get maybe more money.
Absolutely. The market always determines the price.
For sure. For sure.
And that's why you see a lot of these, to the consumers out there, the people watching, the viewers. That's why you see home price drops, because at one point the market could have said this price is going to be that, or it could have just been somebody who doesn't know how to price it right. But whenever you see that high pricing come down, it's either because the market talked or that person priced it too high for the market. And the market always does the talking on how we price these homes. It's not based or influenced on the commission. So just wanted to throw that out there. So, we talked about that. We actually have a comment that came in from Miss Carrie Jeffrey.
Oh,
and
cool.
and I believe this is regarding mortgages, and this is right up your alley. So Miss Carrie Jeffrey asked, what about decent income but high DTI? And I'm assuming she's talking about mortgage financing.
Yeah. If your debt to income ratio is high, there are other programs available, or there's other options available. If you have a high debt to income ratio, some people get cosigners, right? You can get a cosigner. Maybe that can help you qualify. If you have access to more funds for a down payment, that could lower your debt to income ratio, right? Or if you have money to buy down the interest rate a little bit further to lower your DTI, that can work. There's also non-traditional loans, which don't necessarily document your income the traditional way. We've had self-employed people qualify with bank statements or profit and loss statements. So depending on what you do and where your income comes from, there may be a alternative method for you to qualify. It's just making sure that regardless of what the income you make or whether your DTI is, that at the end of the day, which is most important for us, is that you can afford the payment and it works with your budget. So it's never about the maximum I can qualify you for. It's about what's best for your particular budget, and is this a payment that you can afford?
Nice. So with that being said, does FHA loans help these certain individuals?
FHA loans are geared more towards lower down payments. You put 3.5% downs, but they do allow for higher debt to income ratios. We've had FHA loan approvals, close to 57% debt to income ratio. When a debt to income ratio basically means that it's your debt compared to the income you make. So if you make $10,000 gross income and you have $5,000 in debt with your mortgage payment, that's a 50% debt to income ratio. So FHA allows us to go above that. Okay. So conventional typically does not. VA loans, if you're a vet, they also allow for higher ratios above 52. But those are the only two programs, generally speaking, that will allow a higher debt to income ratio.
Gotcha. So when it comes to somebody who has a high DTI, you mentioned something about having enough funds to buy down your interest rate. If that person has enough funds to buy down their interest rate, can it also help them if they bought down their interest rate and also got a credit for closing costs? Would that help them? What if they have a high DTI, or is it just more important to get the rate down as much as possible?
If they have a high DTI and they're not qualifying, it's probably best to just do things to lower their debt ratio, which would be to lower their interest rate or pay off debt. Some people maybe have like a high car payment or some credit cards. And if you have some cash set aside, maybe we'll pay off those debts and put less down to lower your total monthly payment. So it's really about, we look at your whole financial scope when you fill your application and figure out where to best place these funds. Maybe your down payment is better used to pay off debt. Maybe we do down payment assistance, and maybe then you qualify. So it's really about just having another set of eyes look at the application and see if there's anything that could be done.
Nice. Yeah, we're gonna go through this pivotal spot or this pivotal point in the economy where it's springtime, summertime. You got a lot of people who are having that itch to get out and buy. We're seeing now that we have no inventory whatsoever. And what I'm seeing out there for the open houses that I'm doing and being out there at my listings is that there's a ton of buyers out there right now.
Yeah.
And people are looking to still buy property. So with that being said, I get asked, this is a perfect opportunity to segue into qualifying for a FHA loan and what exactly that takes.
Well, you're absolutely right. I mean, the market right now is crazy. It's still a very strong seller's market. Buyers are still willing to buy. There's not a lot of inventory. FHA loans have been great for us lately. Really, I mean, all it takes is you can get an FHA loan with a 500 credit score, believe it or not. It's not easy to do it, but it's possible. If your credit score is 580 or above, you can qualify with as little as 3.5% down on an FHA loan. Okay. Generally speaking, to get the best rates, you would want a credit score at least 640 and above. But there are options for lower credit scores. You can get your loan approved, obviously with lower credit scores, and they do allow for higher debt to income ratios. So if you are in the market to buy a home, an FHA loan could be a great way for you to get in if you do not have a large down payment.
Nice. And for those of you out there too who watch this, when it comes to buying a house, if you don't know, the first thing that you should really do is pick up the phone literally and really call Kevin. If it's not Kevin, call your trusted source that you rely on for mortgage financing, because a lot of people get confused and intimidated and they just don't know where to start, right? Everybody's like, man, where do we start? Where do we begin? The first place you start, unless you're looking at coming up with something all cash, is talk to whatever source of mortgage financing officers that you guys have out there. I definitely, because I'm extremely biased, say call Kevin, but talk to them, because starting an application and getting an idea. And the thing is a lot of first time home buyers actually don't qualify, right? But it's not about qualifying at the initial start. It's about how do you get to the point where you could qualify, and it doesn't hurt you to know, and only gives you the awareness. A lot of first time home buyers, people see people posing the pictures with the keys, with the just sold signs and everything like that. People don't realize that some of those people come from a long journey of starting their
Yep.
journey, getting the tools that they need in order to get to where they need to be in order to get approved. So don't be intimidated and don't be afraid to reach out to a mortgage professional like Kevin to see what it takes to qualify, because some of you out there might not even realize how close you are, and you might be there already. But even if you're not there already, you probably don't realize how close you actually are. Start your journey, get to be in the know. So if you're not ready, you can know what it takes to get ready.
You nailed it. I mean, honestly, there's no cost or obligation. I mean, it costs us money if we were like checking credit and verifying, like doing things, but it really is just like a free financial checkup. Let's just see where you're at, see how things look. Hey, did you know you have XYZ on your credit? Hey, did you know you have this, this, and that on, like we can literally, even if you're not buying a house, give you some tips or some information just to improve your financial situation. Even if you're not buying a house, we could just give you some valuable insight and information and game plan to how you can become a homeowner one day, even if it's not today.
Right.
Right.
And what I see is, when you talk about the comparisons between renting and buying, people don't realize because they get too intimidated with the myth of the down payment. People, the down payment myth that you have to come up with 20+% down is a myth. Well, sometimes it's a myth. Sometimes it's a myth. Sometimes it's a myth. But there are options out there for you. So if you're on the fence, if you think that you have it, you don't realize how close you may be until you actually make that first move and reach out to a professional. I have gotten people in the homes for 5% down, 10% down. Actually, I haven't got people in the homes. I've helped them. Kevin has gotten people in the homes for as low as 5 to 10% down, and he has closed deals for me within 10 to 14 days. So I say all that to say this is that reach out. If you're on the fence, the first move that you can do for yourself to put your best foot forward, reach out to a professional, start your journey. And even if you don't make the jump off the fence, at least you know when you jump what you're going to be landing on and what you have to do to land softly.
Yep. Nailed it right there. And then honestly, timing is key too. Like there's that Dream for All program right now where people can get 20% towards their down payment and closing costs. That application portal is open now and it closes on the 29th of April. There is a great opportunity for first-time home buyers and first-generation home buyers to get a substantial amount for your down payment right now. Only if you are going to qualify, but hey, if you don't apply, if you don't try, you're not going to get it. So I encourage those who want to obtain home ownership, who may be interested, just reach out, give it a shot. You never know. This could be a great opportunity because programs like these don't come up often.
Absolutely. And to add on, when you get done with the mortgage side, the real estate side, there's also opportunities with negotiations in order to get you seller credits to really ease the load of the cash that you could be coming out of upfront, with seller credits towards closing costs and seller credits towards your interest rate buy down. So at the end of the day, when it comes to this real estate world, for those of you who do not know, talk to your professionals, because your professionals, where there's a will, there's a way. And there's a lot more opportunities out there for you guys who don't know than you actually think. And the first thing that you need to do in order to learn and get a part of the system, just for your knowledge, reach out to one of us.
For sure. Yeah. And when you work with a team like us, we're going to definitely tailor make that loan and the home purchase so it fits your budget, so the home fits your needs. So really want to get out there and just make sure that we're really taking care of you guys, working together as a team to find you the right place at the right price.
Yeah, nice.
Yeah.
And I can't begin to agree with I can't begin to agree with Kevin anymore. And so you guys know, for those of you who have tuned in to us before, Kevin and I did it. Started this series last year. We brought you guys multiple episodes with us talking. We are going to be committed to doing nothing but bringing you guys value in this transitioning market. There's so many different programs out there. So each and every week, we're going to go over those different programs and options. And if you ever have any questions, you see our information below our screens now. You can reach me at joubertcaston.com. You see the phone number 415-858-6316. If you're in the 916, it's 916-936-3074. Down below, you see Kevin's information. That's greenhavencap.com. You can reach him at 800-618-9508.
Yeah. I also got my cell too. We'll post that later. That's
Yes.
714-457-2087. You guys, you can contact me anytime. I'm here to help.
Absolutely. So you guys be on the lookout. Tell a friend, man. Tell a friend and tell that friend to tell a friend and tell that friend who you told to tell another friend. Tell an auntie, a mama, a daddy, a granny, a grandpa that we're coming at you every Wednesday at 5:30, bringing you nothing but that heat.
Yep.
And as for a Kings fan like Kevin, that value that we gonna bring to you is gonna really light that beam, man.
Light the beam, man. We'll see.
Well, Kev, man, thank you so much for your time.
Thanks, Joe. I really appreciate you having me on, man. It's been great.
Absolutely. Ladies and gentlemen, catch us every Wednesday, 5:30. Kevin Odo and Joubert Caston. We're here. This is the Bear Show. Over and out. Yeet.